Hey, Auburn picks up a huge commitment from the Atlanta area. Is there a pipeline forming? Hey, spring football practice starts today, and it's a huge week for Auburn basketball. We're going to talk about it. It's episode 22 of the Top Button Podcast, and I'm your host, Charlie Five, and we are ready to rock and roll. But before we get started, we want to give a shout out to our boy Ford Stokes with Active Wealth Management. We talk about him every episode. Huge Auburn fan. Would love to help protect the money that you've worked so hard to save and help it protect it and help it grow to get you where you need to be in the future. Just give him a call. He'll give you a custom plan built to your needs, not just some cookie cutter PowerPoint presentation. He's there to help. Check him out, Ford Stokes, activewealth.com. All right, guys, we've been going through a little bit of a drought from a commitment standpoint. And then Auburn pulls off and lands a huge prospect from Buford High School in Georgia, just north east Atlanta. 4-star corner Devin Williams, highly ranked corner. He's our second highest ranked commit of this class as we speak. I don't want to say it came out of nowhere, but I would say the commitment of him came out of nowhere. It was no really secret that Auburn was competing hard, was pushing hard, was right there up at the top of his list. I think it was Auburn and Notre Dame, but I think Chad Simmons was referring to him yesterday in a tweet that he dropped when it said something like, "I was just talking to this recruit, or recruiting's crazy. I was just talking to this recruit about upcoming visits and blah 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 blah." And then he texts me today and says, "I'm ready to commit." He pulled the trigger. Yes. I see you're listening to this on Tuesday. So he committed yesterday at 5 p.m. We got a kind of a tip that it was going to be around that time. And he was right on time. So what does this mean? Make no mistake, big time corners are invaluable. Lockdown corners are invaluable. And this is a little excerpt from his 247 scouting report from Andrew Ivins, their director of scouting. A potential coverage ace for a Power 5 contender, not just a player, not just just a regular P5 guy, a Power 5 contender and a coverage ace. He's a little bit undersized. When I say undersized, I don't mean he's not going to be that 6'2" long corner. He's going to be right in your 5'10" range, probably 185, 190 pounds. But one thing about him that jumps off the charts is speed. Just like Eleanor Roosevelt said in Talladega Nights, America's all about speed, hot, nasty BA speed, and he's full of it. So when he was a sophomore, he ran a 10.65 in the 100-meter dash, which is incredible. He can absolutely scoot. He played receiver as well, and he averaged like almost 30 yards a catch. So when you're a corner and you don't have length, you have to have speed. When you don't have that long range where you can make a play if there's a little bit of separation, closing speed is huge. And Devin Williams is an absolute burner. I wonder if he could possibly work in, possibly the return game at Auburn. I'd love to watch his film this upcoming year. I assume he's probably going to play a little bit of everything. But yeah, it's a big get. Auburn, for whatever reason, we don't really go out and I don't know if it's I really don't know what it is, but those marquee corners, those guys that are lockdown guys, Auburn seems to sort of, I don't know, from the high school ranks, maybe struggle a little bit. You just saw Naeem Offord, 5-star, number 1 player in Alabama, go to Ohio State. I mean, that was a corner. That was going to be, a blockbuster corner. The door may not be all the way closed on him, but yeah, this is a good sign. This is a good sign. You're getting a player that's highly ranked at a position you seemingly historically have struggled at getting, and you get him in early. So I think at this time last year, the class was ranked around like 15 or so. And with this commitment, it's all the way up to number 7. And I don't think we're done. I think it's so February's winding down, March hits, visits hits. I would expect at least 3 more, commits. And if the ones that hit like we think they will, you could be all the way up inside the top 5. So a lot of positive momentum early, man. Early recruiting, early getting guys. It's big. It's absolutely big to go ahead and get the momentum started. You'd love to have somewhere around 15-ish commits, 15-ish commits before the season starts. That would be probably ideal. And right now you have 9. Okay, so if March goes like you think it is, you could be around 12. And then if you add 3 or 4 more over the spring and summer, I think you're right where you need to be. Cannot huge pickup, great player, and plays at the top, competition. Buford is, that's where KJ Bolden, I believe that's where KJ Bolden went to school. So Dylan Rayola, like 5-star factory. Okay. So being able to play and being an impact on that team, you're going to come ready to play. Essentially, you may essentially be like a redshirt freshman when you get here, maybe even a sophomore, as far as ready to play because you've played against the best. Always big. Buford, your Graysons, all these schools in Atlanta that are football factories. If you can get, I talked about it, in Alabama, if you can get Phoenix City's best player, if you can get the best player from Thompson, the best player from, some of these Birmingham schools, and then you turn around, same thing in Atlanta. If you can get your best kid from Buford, best kid from Grayson, Parkview, all these different schools around the Atlanta area, if you can get their best player, you're going to get a kid that's ready to play football. So get excited about Devin Williams. Now you just got to keep him, which, it is what it is. I feel like we do a pretty good job of retention. We rarely lose kids that we don't really we rarely lose kids that we don't want to lose. It's at least this far under Hughes Freeze. So we got him in, keep him. I think we got us a star right here in the making in Devin Williams. So speed for days. Is it a coincidence or is it not? Or am I just stretching here? But you go on this commitment drought, and then all of a sudden your first commit that you get to start it back up after, like, right close to when the dead period ends, the first commit you get after this long drought is from the Atlanta area. And we just hired you just hired one of the most legendary Atlanta area high school guys in Kenyatta Watson. Is it a coincidence? Or is it just or could there something be going on there? Could this Atlanta pipeline be forming? You feel like you lead big for Traveris Dice, who's from Langston Hughes in that area. You feel like you're trending for 2026, possibly the number 1 player in the country, Tyler Atkinson. It's another year away, but and he's from Grayson High School. So, like, are you starting to see an Atlanta area pipeline? Is Auburn going to become West Atlanta? That would be incredible. That would be incredible if you can pick off, 4 or 5 elite guys, maybe more, 4 or 5 elite guys from Atlanta and surrounding areas every single year. I don't think you could ask for anything better. And having Kenyatta Watson on this staff is invaluable. I don't know this for intel, but you had a guy who national recruiting analysts thought was maybe weeks or months away from a commitment, going to take a bunch of visits. You hire Kenyatta Watson a week and a half ago, and then all of a sudden, boom, I'm ready to commit. I don't know. Maybe it's not related at all, but Kenyatta actually tweeted out early yesterday morning, good morning and War Eagle. We got to figure out what his bat signal is. So that's something we got to work on. Got to figure out what his bat signal is. But there would nothing would warm my heart more Nothing would warm my heart more if a Atlanta pipeline gets back going. It seems like we've really struggled in Georgia in general, but definitely the Atlanta area since maybe Rodney Garner left. I really, you go back and look. Damari Austin's the last big time recruit you got from that area in a long time, especially since Gus left, and you've just kind of struck out. You just kind of struck out in that area. So, boy, if you could get a Buford kid, you could get a Langston Hughes kid, you could get a Grayson kid in the next year's class. If you could start picking off these kids, you got Jay Crawford from Parkview last year. If you could start kind of building an Atlanta pipeline, I mean, Auburn geographically is in an unbelievable location. I mean, you're talking, it's right there. It's right there. There's no reason not to have a huge presence. And I'm hoping that we're starting to see the wheels turn. We're starting to see some things happening there for recruiting in Atlanta. So let's get pumped. Let's see what happens. Again, I think we're about to go on a little bit of a run. I said it months back. I think it just got, with hiring coaches. I thought this would already be done. I thought all these guys would already be committed, but it looks like we really were building up this off the field staff. Maybe took some time off in the dead period to kind of get organizationally more in line, and now we're pushing hard and ready to go. And I would imagine on Thursday we're going to talk about all the visits that are already lined up with some top studs who might be going to evaluate and stuff like that. So recruiting is about to really pick up. Yesterday was kind of a surprise. That's huge. That's huge. Go ahead and get him going. Go ahead and get him going. You got 9 commits. Let's reel off 3 or 4 more and get ready for spring football, and then break it down. Then we'll be talking spring portal. So it's going to be a blast. The balls are rolling. The wheels are in motion. Let's go. Let's go. All right. Spring football, tackle football starts today, ladies and gentlemen. Spring is underway, depending on what time you listen to this. So it's you got your first practice today. It's usually going to be helmets and shorts. We're going to get some videos that we're going to analyze, overanalyze, and just break down from start to finish. And I am here for it. I'm here for it. Spring football is fun because now it's really fun because you get to see a lot of new faces for the first time, and you get to see them quick. You get to see them like within 2 or 3 months of when they, sign and enroll versus, in the past, spring would be for guys that are already on the team, and you wouldn't get to see new faces basically until fall camp or even the first couple of games. So now you get to see essentially your whole freshman class minus, 5 or 6 guys. You get to see all of your new portal additions. And then you get to see the guys that you are bringing back from last year. You get to see the roster progress. It's fun. You just get to see it quickly. You get to see it really quickly. All the new additions, you get to see them right away. And there's a lot of new additions that I think we're all going to be watching to see where they fall, where they, in the lineups and things like that. And there's some blockbuster guys that you're really leaning on, new guys that you're hoping will be, as good as you think they'll be. You really need to find a number 1 wide receiver. You get to see your portal guy, Robert Lewis. You get to see your top 6 or 7 overall player in the country, true freshman stud, Cam Coleman. There's just so many fun things about spring that you get to watch for so quickly after new players are added. So let's talk about, 3 or 4 of the top newcomers that I'm looking forward to see. And you tell me what you think. Let me know in the comments. Who are you excited to see? Who are you excited to see how they fit in the depth chart, how they fit, and then just kind of go back and forth there. So my number 1 player that I'm super excited to see is Percy Lewis. Okay, the offensive tackle from, I believe, Mississippi State. He's kind of been all over the world. And the reason I'm excited to see him is because of what he could mean to the offensive line. We've talked about this ad nauseum, but Percy Lewis could make 3 positions better on the offensive line. He could make your left tackle position better. He could make your left guard position better. He could make your right guard position better. All because when you get him there, you can slide Dylan Wade in, and then you can bump. Then you have just an all-out brawl for the other guard position, which I love. I love competition. So I'm very anxious to see where he falls in line. He's an absolute mountain of a man, and I'm just looking forward to seeing that particular dude in this lineup, because if he hits, if he pops, your offensive line is going to be, I think, extremely solid, extremely solid. Even better, a better performing line than last year. Last year, I thought we had a complete 180 from the year prior as far as being able to be aggressive, pushing the line of scrimmage, being able to run the ball, even pass blocking at times was good. You're looking at possibly another huge step forward if Percy Lewis is who we think he is. So that's my number one. My number two is no surprise, but Cam Coleman. Okay, Cam Coleman. I talked about this on Zach's show yesterday or today. We talk about this on Zach's show today. The value of having a number one guy. The value of having a number one wide receiver. What does that that being an actual wide receiver, an outside dog wide receiver? What does that mean for the whole rest of the passing attack, and what value that brings to an offense? Auburn, for I can't even remember like how many years now, maybe since Seth Williams left. Okay, so since the end of the Gus Malzahn era, okay, Auburn has had a team full of number 2 wide receivers. They just have at best. There's not been a go-to guy, and your go-to guy last year was a tight end. Okay, so not even a guy that you could truly line up out wide every single play, and just know that if everything breaks down, that guy's going to beat his guy. So we can go that way. If everything breaks down, that guy's going to win that battle way more times than he's not. We just have not had that guy. We have not had that guy that you can depend on to go make a play on the outside. And I think Cam Coleman can be that guy. He's got the size, he's got the speed, he's got the ball skills, he's got the physicality in general. And I think he has the mindset of that a wide receiver has to have, that says, I'm gonna embarrass you. Okay. He's got a little bit of Chad Baker Mazzara, I'm him personality, if you know what I mean. If you understand, if you watch the Georgia game that we'll talk about in a little bit, if you watch that game, he's got a little bit of that dog in him, so I'm anxious to see how that plays out. In this whole, new offense, this whole identity that we're building on offense with Hugh running the ship, and having a true, hopefully, go-to guy. And when Summer gets here and Perry gets here, you may have 2 guys. So very looking forward to that one big time. Number 3. This was sort of a new revelation. This is not somebody that I had necessarily pinpointed as somebody that I was going to be, super. I guess I didn't know that he was going to be able to make a super impact, but it kind of comes out from if you listen to Locked on Auburn, Amaris Williams is already kind of penciled in as the backup defensive end behind Keldrick Falk. Holy cow. He's barely been here, a couple of months. He's already turning heads in the weight room, already turning heads in workouts. Physically, he's, going to be 265, 270 pounds. Played running back a little bit in high school, athletic freak, and he's already going to be backing up, another freaky freak in Keldrick Falk. So Amaris Williams, holy cow. After we got the news that he's possibly already sort of worked his way up into being right around second team at defensive end. Like, I want to see everything. I want to see every move he makes, every step he takes, and every move he makes in spring, because the future of the defensive line, man, these young guys, holy cow. These young guys, you got 3 or 4 really, really good looking prospects, and all of them I think are going to play early and going to play often. But Amaris Williams is one that was already, sort of exceeding expectations as far as who he is, what he brings to the table, and how hard he wants to work when he gets here. Looking forward to seeing that dude battle. I mean, after hearing this, I just don't know how you're going to keep him off the field. You're going to have to you may have to have some 4-down lineman sets where you have him and Falk on the field at the same time. Like, he could be that good. So Amaris Williams, definitely one of the newcomers that I'm looking forward to seeing. One of my top 3. Um, Number 4, I think that I just want to go in a safe direction, because last year when you brought in portal guys, especially at wide receiver, it was sort of last minute additions. Throw some stuff against the wall and see what sticks. Who's got some relationships? Let's just try to get some guys in here because we just need some bodies. But this year you had some time to actually go scout. You had some time to not go scout, but you had time to scout, watch film. You had time to sort of build a little list of prospects. And one of the guys you early went out and evaled, one of those guys you early targeted and you got in early, was Robert Lewis from Georgia State. Kid can play. He's got one of the I think he holds the record for the longest reception in that school's history. But just a guy that you evaled early, not some last minute throw against the wall addition. This is somebody you picked out, you singled out early to bring in to supplement with these young guys, these young stars that you brought in. I'm anxious to see how his game translates, because I think he could play multiple positions. I think he could be an outside guy. I think he could be an inside guy. He's got good size. He runs like a running back when he's got the ball in his hands. I mean, he's 200 plus pounds and he can fly. So where he fits in the offense, I think, is huge. And I'm really looking forward to see Robert Lewis. Again, I like the portal is fun because it's like it's almost like fantasy football, where you look at every single team and you're picking up free agents and things like that off the waiver wire. This is a guy looking to level up. He's been dominant at the level he was at, and now he wants to level up and see if he can his game translates to the SEC. I think it will, and I think he is an invaluable addition to this wide receiver room. So again, spring football, it's so much fun now that you get to see all these new faces so quickly. You don't have to wait and hear rumors of workouts. I mean, you get to see it. You get to see practice. You get to see practice video, pictures, hulking super teams galore. Cannot wait. I think they have to do a few days in just shorts and jerseys, no pads or anything like that, just helmets. I think that's all you're going to get for a couple of days, and then it's going to start. Then they'll start, then they'll start battling. Then they'll start wailing on each other, and we'll really find out who's ready to play. We'll really find out who's ready to play. I'm more pumped about this spring game than I have been in a long time. I can't wait to see what this offense looks like, how much different it looks, and then the defensive looks as well. You got completely two new play callers. I'm anxious to see how this whole spring unfolds, because I think you're starting to really build a foundation with talented kids, and I think the staff is where Hewitt wants it to be. I think you had a year of rushed hires to try to get it in and get some things settled, and you've had a year to sort of evaluate everything, and now you kind of got it like you like it and you're ready to go. So spring football starts today. We'll keep you updated on anything, any big news that pops. So stay tuned. Before we talk about basketball, I want to give a shout out to plainscoffee.com. Use coupon code BUTTON for 10% off all orders. Stop going to Sam's Club. Stop going to all these big box store, your Costco's, and stocking up on old coffee that's going to sit in your pantry forever. Check out Plains Coffee. Get it coming on a weekly basis. Like if you go through a whole bag a week, like get it lined up where you got another one coming. It comes straight to your door. You don't have to leave the house. Freshly ground before it ships. They got roasts for everybody, the dark as you want or as light as you want. And then they got teas as well, if you're not a coffee person. So check them out. Plainscoffee.com. Use coupon code BUTTON for 10% off. All right, switching gears from football a little bit. Huge week for basketball. Huge week for basketball. And it starts on Wednesday night. You play Tennessee at Tennessee, arguably one of the top three teams, not inarguably, one of the top 2 or 3 teams in the definitely in the SEC, and possibly a top 10 team. They're ranked a top 10 team in the country. They probably are a top 10 team in the country. Tennessee's about to go on a brutal 4-game stretch, and Auburn is the first one of that. Auburn has an opportunity to not necessarily put themselves in the driver's seat for the regular season SEC title, but an opportunity to give themselves the best opportunity to finish out the season, the next 4 games out of when you're looking at the top few teams, in the race. If you can knock off Tennessee tomorrow, you have the easiest road to finishing the season out 4-0, which puts you, it should be at worst a tie for first place in the SEC. You go to Georgia. You had a week to prepare, so I don't want to belittle that. That was very important. We needed time to rest. We needed time to get better. Chad Baker-Mazar had gotten banged up. He was, gotten hit in the head a few times at Kentucky. So that whole week allowed everybody to get a little bit healthy, and it allowed you to figure out what you were going to do with Jalen Williams out. And the rotations and the packages that Bruce and co put together were flawless. I mean, you got to see some cool lineups. You got to see Broome and Dillon on the court at the same time. You got to see a small lineups. You got to see a little bit of everything. And the Tigers went into Stegman Coliseum in Athens, Georgia, and absolutely dominated the Bulldogs from start to finish. And the importance of that win, believe it or not, it did feel like, and maybe we're wrong. Maybe like it's our fault. Maybe it's the fans' fault for feeling this way, but it did kind of feel like you might have peaked too soon. It started to kind of feel like you had 2 pretty big blowout losses 2 Saturdays in a row. Granted, they were on the road. It did feel like, you were unbeatable at one point in time, and now it's like, okay, maybe we're not necessarily who we thought we were. So this win in this convincing fashion on the road, I think it sent a message to a lot of our fan base, a lot of maybe the rest of the SEC that, hey, we're legit. We are a legitimate contender, and to go in again on the road, and you had statistically your second best shooting performance from 3 this season was on the road. What's crazy is out of your top 5 shooting from 3 performances, 4 are one is on the road and 3 are neutral site. So all the tournament games are going to be at neutral site. So you're sort of silencing the narrative that Auburn can't win or Auburn can't shoot or Auburn can't play away from Neville. So it was a big win. It was a huge win. And now, you go into a tough environment. Bruce loves this game. He loves to go back to Tennessee. And I'm sure there's a lot of people at Tennessee that still have a lot of affection and a lot of love for Bruce because of, he kind of turned that men's program around. I would say they are where they are today because of Bruce Pearl. So that's a very important game for him. It's going to be tough. It's going to be tough. There's no doubt about it. But if you can somehow go in there, and again, like I said, they're about to go on a brutal 4-game stretch. Auburn is the first one of that stretch. Could you get them looking ahead? I think they have to go to Alabama. They have to go. They have to play. They're going to have to play Kentucky again. I think they got to play South Carolina. I think that's their next 4 games: Auburn, Kentucky, Alabama, South Carolina. I don't know if it's necessarily in that order, but it's a brutal stretch. Could you get them looking ahead? Could you get them sort of, in a midweek lull? That's another thing. It's on a Wednesday. Now I know they're going to still pack. They're still going to be able to pack it out on a Wednesday, but it's not a Saturday. It's not a Saturday at 2:30 where people from out of town can drive in. That people can tailgate and people can get ready to go all week long. No, it's a Wednesday midweek game. Listen to this stretch they close with. So they play Auburn at home, then they go to Alabama, to South Carolina, and then they get Kentucky at home. Brutal 4-game stretch. That's what I meant when I said if you can get by this game, somehow you can knock Tennessee off. You have such an easier road the last 3 games or the last 4 to go. I mean, not the last 4, the last 3 games to finish the season 4-0 to put yourself in striking distance of winning a share or winning the regular season outright. Maybe you catch Tennessee looking ahead. We have the shooters to be able to hurt them. But can they do it again on the road? That's the key. Is this Aiden Holloway deal? Is this his renaissance? He's had such a short career. He came out hot, he had a lull, and then he goes 5 of 8 from 3, and just making essentially everything he looks at, banking in threes. Love it, man. Aiden Holloway. I love Trey Donaldson, but Aiden Holloway has a ceiling. Aiden Holloway playing well raises the ceiling of this team just because he's that gifted. And then you still have not been able to completely unlock Denver Jones, who makes everything he looks at, it seems like, but he just only gets 3 or 4 shots a game. So do you turn him loose against Tennessee? And then you got Chad Baker-Mazara, who unbelievable, comes out, scores 25 points, 18 in the first half against Georgia. Fresh off finding out one of his high school coaches passed away, puts a game together for him that is so impressive. And he did it in every single aspect that you could do it. He drove to the basket. He shot threes. He made 7 free throws. And guess what? He only took 7 free throws. So he's perfect from the line, inside, outside, jump shots, threes. He did it so incredibly well-rounded that, Aiden Holloway shot great, but he hit a bunch of threes. Chad did everything. And he's so big for this team. It's crazy too because I would not say that he is physically gifted, but he's a basketball player, man. He's just a basketball player. He knows how to use his body. He knows how to use leverage. He knows how to get angles on people. Like, he just knows how to get the ball in the basket. And man, we need him continuing to get hot and lean on him. With Jalen out, some of these dudes are getting more looks that Jalen would get. And these guys are building confidence for what I think could be a really good tournament run if Jalen's healthy, like we think he will be towards the end of the season. Hopefully, again, I know Bruce says it's game by game. I'm looking at possibly senior night as far as him getting back. I think that's the safe thing to say, safe thing to do. I don't even know if you really want to push him to come back sooner because this is such a balanced team on the offense and defensive side that you want to have them all healthy for a tournament run. So let's get this big win tomorrow, and then you come back to Neville and you play Mississippi State on Saturday. You shot poorly. You had a rough road game against them. They're physical, but even still, you had a chance to win the game. You just couldn't quite pull it off. You get them at Neville. There's going to be a little bit of revenge factor there, and I would expect the boys coming ready to play on Saturday. So if you could pull off 2 wins this week, look out. Look out. You could be talking about the SEC champions or SEC regular champion Auburn Tigers here in 2.5 short weeks. So let's see what happens. Guys, the commits are going to start pouring in, I believe. Recruiting's about to pick up. We're going to talk about some upcoming visits. Thursday's show is going to be recruiting heavy. So if you don't like recruiting, don't listen, because it's going to be bug-tastic recruiting. We're going to be fired up. We're going to be getting everybody. We're going to talk about how we're going to get everybody. So if you want to have a good time, you want to talk recruiting, come back on Thursday and we'll get after it. So follow me on follow me on Twitter, _Charlie_5. Like and subscribe to this channel so you can be notified when we go live or when we premiere. So like and subscribe. I got some other fun stuff that I'm trying to put together. I think this offseason is going to be a lot of fun, but we're going to be booging and talking about spring football and basketball over the next couple of weeks and recruiting. So tune in again next Thursday. Really appreciate it. This is episode 22 of the Top Button Podcast. Stay buttoned.